Hey everybody, how you doing? Uh, I am using a new uh, application, program, whatever the kids call it these days, to try recording. I'm using Zoom instead of what I used last time. So hopefully this is going to work. I'm certainly going to try to make it work. First of all, I wanted to thank you so much for all of the feedback, the comments, and the subscriptions. As of right now, starting this recording, we're at 103 subscriptions for the channel in less than 48 hours, which is freaking awesome. It's great. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I hope we can keep that going. If you are watching and you have not subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and hit the bell for the notifications so you'll know when I put up new stuff like this right here. So, some of the feedback I got in the comments from the last video were asking specific questions, so I'm going to try to address those. If you have a question about writing for a living, how to put your thoughts together, how to format things, how to anything I can. If I don't know the answer, I will try to find someone who can give me the answer. And so tonight, and again, like I said last time, I just blabbered on for a while. So this time I'm going to try to make it short and sweet. Wish me luck. But we're going to talk about manuscript formatting. And before we do that, I'm going to try some audio-visual magic here. Caveman tries to use magic tools. I wanted to share some stuff with you. Here we go. Let's see how this works. All right, you should be seeing this. This is The Queen's Road. It is a Audible original book through Amazon Audible. It just came out through Falstaff Publishing as a Kindle Nook, basically as an ebook, and it's available in all the formats. And as an Amazon paperback, we're going to have the hardcovers and the standard paperbacks available next week. So I wanted to kind of point that out to you. Let's see here. Yeah, here's the audiobook, Queen's Road audiobook, which this was one of the projects I did. It came out in December of last year. And it was an Audible original, and then the wonderful people at Falstaff wanted to make it into a book. So that's happening now. Also, a couple of really nice anthologies that I've been fortunate to be asked to be in. Here they are. They're available right now. This is Galactic Stew, which my good friend David Coe is one of the editors on. And it is available as a Kindle or as an Amazon paperback. It is supernatural, science fiction, fantasy, bizarre tales about food. And I have a story in there called Tender. So if you want to check that out, there's that. And then there is Predators and Petticoats, which is available as an ebook and also available as an Amazon paperback. This was another anthology I got to do that was a whole lot of fun, and the editors involved are wonderful. I've worked with them before, and they're amazing. It's basically, the title kind of says it all. It is stories based around women as predatory protagonists in the story in various different ways. I was very honored to be in the book with some of the author. Well, all the authors in there are amazing. So it's a great read. I highly recommend it. The story I have in there is a Brotherhood of the Wheel story. So if you follow my Brotherhood of the Wheel books, which is Brotherhood of the Wheel and King of the Road, there is a short story in Predators and Petticoats that's set in the Brotherhood universe that takes place after King of the Road. So if you want to check that out, by all means, please do. So got that out of the way, got the shameless plug out of the way. Manuscript formatting. This is something that, it's one of those things that is important, and it's like a lot of things in writing, it is not cut and dried. There are certain parts of it that are sort of cut and dried, other parts are not. When you decide to send out your manuscript, you have written your work, you have edited it numerous times, you have let people that you trust put their eyes on it, you have tried to find every flaw, every typo, every error that you can. Don't worry, some are still going to slip through. That's just the nature of the universe. Things tend towards disarray. So you're going to have, back when I worked in the newspaper business, we would have about 6 sets of eyes on the newspaper proofs before we'd go to press. And without fail, we would have stuff slip through. Like 4 editors are looking at it, the publisher's looking at it, the guys in the copy room, the folks who are actually assembling the paper are looking at it. We had a woman who was probably in her like 60s who was awesome. She was just like had a superpower. She was really good at spotting typos. But even with all of that, you'd still have stuff slip through. So you do the most thorough job you can. And then you have your manuscript. Now, what do you do with it? Every place you send it to, every editor, every publisher is going to have different formatting guidelines. If you go to their website, or if you look in the Publishers Weekly book, or I believe Publishers Weekly is online now too, they'll tell you what they will want as far as formatting for manuscripts if you're going to send something to them. A lot of them will just say standard formatting, which can cover a lot of territory. So we're going to go over a little bit like what standard formatting means. So one thing I would suggest is that let me go over like some of the basic stuff, and then I'll kind of tell you some of the little anecdotal sort of things that you probably don't want to try to do. So let's see here. Aha! And we share. See, look at this. I am so impressed with myself. I hope to God this looks good. When I play it back, I hope it looks okay. Here's some information that I was able to kind of cull together about manuscript formatting. Okay, every agent and publisher is going to have a different set of submission guidelines. The style guide that they use can vary. The 2 big ones are Chicago Manual of Style and the AP Style Guide. Most of my career, I have used the AP Style Guide. I started when I was doing journalism stuff, and I've tried to stick with it as best I can through my fiction writing. Different editors like different versions. Numbers. If you do numbers, if you write out numbers, one of the standard conventions is numbers between 0 and 9, you write those out. Anything higher than 9, you put in as an actual number. Now, I've had different editors and different publishers who do that different ways. Again, like I said, these are guidelines. They are standard guidelines, but you're going to have to tweak things for. When I was doing freelance writing for various different publications with different editors, I literally had different editors that had different style guides and ways they wanted things done. So I always had to be mindful of who I was writing for, because one editor would want it one way, another editor would want it another. So as far as the actual layout of the manuscript, use a 12-point type, use a serif font. I always use Times Roman, and that's the one they recommend here. You should double space your manuscript. No extra spaces in your paragraphs. Only 1 space between your sentences. And this is something that is kind of in the process of changing. There is a A lot of controversy and debate over, do you double space or single space? A lot of folks are saying single space now, and I've been trying to kind of go to single space, but old habits die hard. The original reason they had the 2 spaces between sentences and so forth was a printing issue, which is no longer really a problem with digital printing. But some editors, like, they grew up with, their whole career they've done double space, they went double space. Other people prefer single space. Again, I would go with these guidelines, and if they don't like it that way, believe me, they'll let you know. And that's not a bad thing. Editors are professionals. The folks reading your manuscripts are professionals. They don't expect everything to be perfect. They are just looking for some uniform layout that will help them to focus more on your story than on things jumping out and kind of distracting them. Indent each paragraph 1/2 inch. Basically, you set a tab for that. Text should be flush left and ragged right, not justified. If any of these things, if you're like going, what does that mean? You can basically look all of this stuff up, but for the most part, most word processors are already set to do a lot of these things, so you don't really have to do much. Okay, if you're going to put a line between your paragraphs to show that some time has passed, or perhaps your scene has changed to a different locale, different characters, then you do a centered typographical dingbat, which I love that. It's, call someone that. You, sir, are a centered typographical dingbat. But you see this in books all the time. They change the scene and you see 3 little asterisks in a row, and then it goes to a new scene. That's the preferred way that the editors like that. When I started out, I was using 4, and I didn't know that you're only supposed to use 3, but as I worked with different editors and so forth, they kind of explained that to me, and now I use 3. Or try to remember to use 3. It's going to be black text on white background. Don't do any cutesy pie stuff. Don't have like black page with crimson print. I don't know if I have, well, I know I have some gamers out there, but if you ever played the Vampire the Masquerade role-playing game, when they came out with the 2nd edition of it, Vampire the Requiem, most of the rule book was written in a red cursive font. It was the most irritating thing in the world to try to read. It was like clawing at your eyeballs. So keep it simple. White background, black copy. Simple. 1-inch margins, basically around your page. They're going to want to create a header, which in most word processing programs, they'll give you an option to create headers and footers. You're going to create a header. It's going to have your last name, the page number, and the header should appear on every page after the title page. You're also going to want to have your name, your email, address, phone number, all of that in the top left of each page, or on the title page. Again, it depends on who you're working for. But basically your contact information. I also put in my header, or usually on my title page, copyright, which is basically, I believe it's parentheses, C, close parentheses, will give you the little circle copyright symbol. The current year that you have completed it, and then your name and all rights reserved. If you write under a pseudonym, that would be on your title page as, title of your story by your pseudonym. Your contact information should be your legal name. They use that for things like contracts, paying you, things like that. So they do need to know that stuff. Let's see. So your name, email address, phone number, top left, the word count for the document, to the nearest 100 words in the top right. Your title should be about 1/3 of the way down the page, centered. You should not bold it. You shouldn't do anything like that. So basically, third of the page down on your first page, your title centered by your pseudonym or your name you write under. And then double space, and then go at it, start writing. So that's seems pretty simple. There are, of course, and if you guys need any of this stuff, please let me know, and I can probably try to get it to you. If you review the video, you should be able to pull all this down. But in those standard format rules, there's a lot of variations, a lot of things, little just tricks and things that you may want to, you'll learn as you go. Things I learned early on is you do not staple your manuscript together. You basically have it as loose pages. Each page has a page number. When you're sending your manuscript, what you're doing is, unless you have an agent or someone within the publishing house, you're going to be sending this to, you kind of send it out into the void. It's going to what they call the slush pile. And in a publishing house, there will probably be a room that is full of envelopes full of manuscripts. This is a very important thing. You send your manuscript out to one publisher at a time. Do not send it to 5 or 6 different publishers. Send it to one publisher, and usually within their guidelines, they will tell you, you should have a response in 6 months. You should have a response in 2 months, 3 months. Depends on how far behind they are in the manuscripts. Junior editors, basically, what they do is they go into the slush pile every day, grab some manuscripts, and start reading them. This is why your opening to your manuscript is so important. You got to grab them. You have to grab them because you don't have long. Excuse me. You don't have a lot of time to wow them because they do this all day. And they want to get through as many manuscripts as they can in a day, so that pile just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's in your best interest to make sure that you are starting your story with the tightest, just punch them right in the face opening that you can. We can talk about openings another time. I want to try to keep everything going here nice and smooth. I don't want to be talking as long as I was last time. One of my goals. I want these to be short and sweet. I don't want to be going on and on. Anyways, he said going on and on. Basically, you are gonna be one of these junior editors is gonna read your stuff. If it grabs them, they keep reading a little bit more, they're gonna pass it along to another editor, and it's gonna make its way up a chain. I had a short story that I wrote for Tor.com. I wrote it and I sent it to Tor.com. That's who I wanted to publish it. And it made it up the chain to the last editor in the chain. And then she was just like, this doesn't really do anything for me. So, but still, it's as tight a opening as you can create. Stephen King, you may have heard of him. Stephen King will actually spend years working on openings. So yeah, it's really important. You want to grab their attention. You want to stand out in that pile of slush as something that they want to take time and energy to read. As I said, don't staple the manuscript. Some things I've heard from editors over the years. Don't use fancy paper with watermarks and like marble and roses and stuff like that. Just simple bond paper, white, nothing fancy, just simple paper. Do not send your manuscript underneath a pizza that you've ordered for the editorial floor of the publishing house that you're attempting to contract with. I have heard of folks who have done that. They've sent the pie along with a nice note and said, my manuscript is under here, please take a look at it. it's a very novel idea. I mean, it made a good story for the editor, but the editor also said he didn't buy it. It didn't go anywhere. He liked the pie. The pizza was good, but just no. Besides, it got all greasy and gross, and who would want to read that? I mean, yuck. So when you are putting your manuscript together, when you are sending it out into the universe, oh, the reason you send it to one place at a time. These guys, especially if you're going for like a big publisher, if you're going for a publisher like in New York, these guys have lunch together. They go and have drinks after work together. A lot of them are friends with each other. And they're sitting around going, I just got this manuscript and it is so freaking good. I think we're going to make an offer on it. And they start talking to their buddy about it. And their buddy goes, oh, we got that too. Yeah, we were thinking about doing that too. You don't want to put yourself in that position. It's a sign that you're not a professional. It's also a sign of disrespect. You're basically saying, I just kind of like loaded the shotgun and pulled the trigger and hoped that somebody got snagged by it. It can be infuriating to wait, but wait. Send it to one publisher. Wait for your response. The response is either going to be, we are interested in this and we want to talk more, or it's going to be a letter, usually a form letter. I've got a ton of them. Thank you so much for your time. We reviewed your manuscript, blah, 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 and it does not meet our needs at this time editorially. Thank you so much. Good luck with you in the future, and I hope you find a home for this. Those are your two standard responses. Every once in a while, and a rare while, you may get something like a written note from an editor who said, I really like this, and there's some things I would suggest in there. We're not going to buy it, but there's some things I would suggest. Count that as a win. It's not a sale, but it is still valuable. So hopefully, you've made a personal contact. Your name is now associated with something that they were interested in, and you may have opened a correspondence or a friendship, or at least an acquaintance with someone in the industry who is interested in your work, and that person may become a patron later, can become a backer or supporter. I don't know if you folks, I'm sure some of you folks out there have read David Drake. I got to interview him for Starlog magazine a long time ago. My daughter was a baby, and now she's like 18, almost 19. David Drake was talking about this one place that he had sent he sent stories to for years, and he was always rejected. And after he got somewhat successful, he's a big name in military science fiction and in kind of like high fantasy. He's had several trilogies that have done very well, and he's well known for the Hammer Slammers military science fiction books. And David Drake basically got to meet one of the editors at this magazine, and he's like, why did you guys never buy my stuff? And the guy said, I would read it and I really liked it, and then I'd pass it along to the guy above me in the chain, and they would say, nah, we don't want it. So that guy had finally resigned. He'd quit. He'd retired. And now this person who had been reading David Drake's stuff for years and recommending it was in a position to continue to recommend it, to get it sold. So don't look on a handwritten anything by someone in the publishing industry as a defeat. Look on it as a victory, because it is. These guys are really busy. They get probably hundreds or thousands of manuscripts every day. So if you stood out enough for them to write you back, say thank you, and look on that as an opportunity to begin a discussion, and listen to the advice they give you, because these guys are professionals. They read books for a living, and they choose what they think is going to sell and what's not. Is there anything else as far as manuscript format? I'm sure there is. I'm drawing a blank on anything else right now. But I think it is vital that you remember, don't send it out to more than one place at a time. Once you get a rejection, or if you get an acceptance, terrific. If you get a rejection, then you move on to your next publisher that you want to try it with. I think that's pretty much it. Now this is kind of like a cold version of submitting. If you have an agent, The agent acts as your advocate and they'll submit the manuscript for you to the people in the industry they know. And we'll discuss agents another day. I have an agent. She's amazing. She's great. And she has done a lot for my career. There are other writers who prefer not to have agents. They go their own way. They do it themselves. And I know many of them who have done remarkably well. So it's, again, a matter of personal choice. But I think it was my friend Mary, who I knew from back in college, who made the comment about the manuscripts. And it was an interesting question. And I hope, Mary, I hope this answered your questions. If you have more questions about this subject, put them in the comments below. Please subscribe to the channel and click on the little bell so you'll get notifications. I'm going to try to see if I can get another video out. I'm going to try to continue getting you new content as quick as I can. And again, I'm trying to talk less. So hopefully this thing didn't go too terribly long. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this was a great help to you. I hope everybody's doing great out there. If you're interested in writing, get off the computer or turn this damn thing off and go write, even if it's a paragraph, write. Matter of fact, I think next time we're going to be talking a little bit about long form, short form writing and kind of how to kind of jumpstart that. So guys, have a wonderful evening. I hope to God that this technology worked. Otherwise, I'm going to be recording this again. Y'all take care. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon.